Right then, folks. Imagine if you found a mask that gave you the strength of 100 elephants. That's what happened in today's story. So let's dive in and see what the mystery of this mask is all about. Okay? Hey guys, I'm Ash and welcome to Popcorn Explains. Today, I'll be explaining the main event. We start our story with a young lad named Leo, who's dreaming of crashing a WWE match and taking on a wrestler who's several times his size. And wouldn't you know it, this kid floors the wrestler and knocks him out with a bone-crunching move. He wins the match, easy peasy. But it was all just a dream, of course, which vanishes as soon as he wakes up. Now, Leo's rushing to get to school. He meets up with his mates, Club and Rio. His mates are buzzing about the upcoming school wrestling match. But Leo isn't that keen, 'cause he's already won a much bigger match in his dreams. But then, a few cheeky lads come along and start winding them up. They even snatch Leo's wrestling drawing and take the mickey out of them. Anyway, the kids manage to get away and head to the canteen for some lunch. But there, Leo's got his eye on a girl named Erica. Thing is, Leo's got a massive crush on Erica. He's so busy staring at her that he spills his lunch all over himself. So the school day ends, and as Leo's heading home, the same pesky lads start chasing him again. But Leo manages to shake them off and ducks into a stranger's house. But the naughty boys are still on his tail. So he runs and locks himself in a room. The room is crammed with wrestling gear. By now, the cheeky boys know Leo's inside. So they start banging on the door and shouting. But the owner of the house turns up and shoos the lads away. Meanwhile, inside, Leo's having a good old nosy at everything when he finds a wrestling mask that stinks to high heaven. Just as he's about to put it on, the owner of the house comes in. Leo tells him the whole story, explaining that he only came in to get away from those naughty boys. Leo's such a good egg that the bloke gives him the mask as a present and tells him to get on home. Back home, Leo's watching a wrestling match with his nan, but then his dad, Steve, arrives home. Anyway, they announce on the telly that there's a championship coming up, and the final match will be a cage match. Whoever wins gets to be the WWE champion and bags a prize of 50 grand. And get this, the championship matches are going to be held in Leo's very own town. Buzzing, Leo asks his dad about his mom, 'cause she hasn't been home for a few days. But hearing this, Steve changes the subject and makes a quick exit. Truth is, Rio's mom, Rachel, has run off with another bloke. But how could he tell his son, "Your mom doesn't give a toss about you. Look, she's gone"? Seeing how things are, Leo's nan decides to stay put, 'cause Leo's dad has to go out of town to work extra hours to pay off his 20 grand debt. Anyway, that night, Leo puts on the mask he was given. Suddenly, his voice gets a lot deeper, and it feels like he's got loads of extra strength. To test it out, he tries a backflip, and a wardrobe catches his foot and starts to topple. But Leo catches the heavy wardrobe with just one finger. Now, Leo tries some weightlifting to test his strength, and he ends up lifting a car with his bare hands. Then, he kicks a tree in his garden, and it snaps in half. Leo's chuffed to bits that he's got this superhero-type strength. But he hits the internet to find out the secret behind this power. He discovers that the mask belonged to a fearsome warrior from thousands of years ago who was as strong as 100 elephants. And that warrior's strength has now entered the mask. But the mask doesn't just give anyone this power. The mask chooses a person of its own accord. Hearing all this, the next day when Leo goes to school, he sees that the cheeky lads are winding up his mates again. Seeing this, Leo doesn't hang about. He grabs his mask and tells the bad lads to stop right there. But the naughty boys don't listen to Leo. So Leo switches off the lights and hangs the cheeky boys from the lockers. Then, Leo and his mates watch wrestling-related news where they introduce Samson, the most powerful fighter in the championship. Everyone reckons Samson's a dead cert to win this time. Seeing all this, Leo wastes no time in putting on his mask and going to register for the wrestling match. But the people in charge of the match aren't going to let a little kid like Leo register. But Leo's got the gift of the gab, and eventually they enter him into a category called Kid Chaos. Then, Leo goes to sit with the fighters, but no one wants him to sit near them. But a nice fighter called Operator lets him sit next to him. Before long, Samson arrives, and as soon as he sits down, the chair breaks. Anyway, next up is a strength test for the wrestlers, where they have to throw heavy barrels. Samson does pretty well, but Leo casually hurls the barrels right out of the stadium. Then, they have to give a dummy on stage a good whack. Everyone gives it their best shot, but Leo leaps from one side of the stage to the other and whacks the dummy. And in the end, when they select the wrestlers, Operator gets selected. And then Leo is the last one to be selected. Leo's proper chuffed. Then, Leo gets home late and finds his nan sitting in his room. She'd seen the wrestling selection on the telly and is a bit suspicious, so Leo tells her everything. Thing is, Leo wants to win this wrestling match and pay off his dad's debts. Anyway, the next day, Leo's hanging out with his mates at school when he spots Erica in the distance. All his mates know that Leo's got a major thing for Erica, so they keep telling Leo to tell Erica how he feels. But Leo just doesn't have the nerve. But eventually, he plucks up the courage and starts chatting to Erica from the other side of a bookshelf. The two of them start chatting and quickly become good mates. They decide to study together and sometimes chat on the phone. Anyway, the championship match has started, and Samson and Operator both qualify for the next match without breaking a sweat. Now, it's the turn of Leo and a fighter called Cowboy. Cowboy tries to floor Leo and knock him out, but Leo knocks Cowboy into next week with a single punch. Leo thinks he's won the match, but Cowboy grabs his rope and tries to tie Leo up. But Leo counterattacks, ties up Cowboy, knocks him out, and wins the match. The next day, Leo's at home when his nan calls him downstairs. Leo goes downstairs and sees his mate Erica, who's come to study with him. Leo's well surprised to see Erica. But Erica says, "I didn't phone you. I wanted to surprise you." Hearing that, Leo's proper pleased. Anyway, Leo's got another match the next day where he's up against a seriously fat fighter. Leo tries to fight him, but the fighter's body odor makes Leo feel really weak. Cottoning on to this, the fighter rubs his body sweat all over Leo's face, making him even weaker. But Leo doesn't give up. He fights the fat fighter with all his might. But at one point, the fat fighter gives Leo a bone-crushing kick. This sends Leo flying off the stage. But somehow, he manages to get back on stage, floor the fighter, and win the match. Anyway, the next day, Leo's on his way to school when his dad asks him about his friendship with Erica. But Leo's embarrassed, so he changes the subject and asks his dad about his mom again. So, Leo doesn't get an answer from his dad, and he goes to sit with his mates in the canteen. They're all chatting away when the cheeky lads turn up and say to Erica, "What are you doing sitting with these numpties?" Hearing this, Erica gives them a right telling off and says, "It's none of your business who I hang out with. Go and mind your own business." Hearing that, the cheeky lads scarper. But then a mugger comes into the canteen and tries to snatch all the cash. Seeing this, Leo hides under a table, pulls out his mask, and tells his mates all about the mask's secret. Then he puts on the mask and goes to take on the mugger. He punches the mugger so hard that he sends him flying out of the canteen. Meanwhile, at Leo's house, his nan's saying to his dad, "Why don't you tell Leo about his mom? The poor lad waits for his mom every day. Not telling him the truth is just making it harder for him." Anyway, Leo's become really famous at his school, which makes the cheeky lads proper jealous. Now, they're keeping a close eye on Leo, always trying to find ways to humiliate him. Meanwhile, Leo's dad still doesn't know anything about his son's amazing strength. Anyway, there's another championship match that day, where Samson is fighting a lady fighter. The lass is a tough fighter. She manages to hold Samson off for a while, but Samson eventually knocks her out. And now the next match is between Leo and his mate, Operator. They're good mates outside the ring, but today they're forced to fight. But as Leo's going on stage, he notices that his feet keep slipping, and he even falls over in the ring. But Leo's still ready to fight. But now, Operator uses Leo's slipping problem to his advantage and throws him into the crowd. There, Leo realizes that someone's put slippery stuff on his shoes. Anyway, after all that, he goes to fight Operator, who gives him a really hard time. But eventually, Leo knocks him out. And then, at the end of the match, he says to the crowd, "I know Operator really well. He's a good fighter. He'd never put glue on my feet to win the match. Someone else must have done it." Hearing that, Operator's well chuffed. After the match, Leo meets up with his mates, who he's supposed to be joining in a school talent show. But then he gets called to a press conference. But he doesn't know that the championship agents have found out who he really is. Meanwhile, during the press conference, Samson breaks a table with one hand, and then his agent tells Leo to do the same. But Leo says, "Am I mad? Breaking a table?" Hearing that, Samson gets angry and goes to attack Leo, but the security guards stop him. Then, during the press conference, Leo's told to take part in a photo shoot, even though he's going to be really late for his school talent show. Back at school, Erica's getting really worried, because everyone's turned up except Leo. So she asks the headmaster to let her perform last. But when all the other performances have finished, Erica's forced to go on stage on her own, because Leo still hasn't turned up. Seeing her on her own, one of Leo's mates joins her on stage to perform with her. Everyone's amazed by their performance. And when Leo finally gets to school after the photo shoot, he sees that everyone's already gone home, apart from his mates, who are waiting for him. Leo apologizes to them all. But then Leo's mates show him the pictures of him at the press conference. The pictures clearly show that Leo's having a whale of a time there. Then, he goes back to the car park and finds that the cheeky lads have trashed his bike. Anyway, the next morning, Leo apologizes to his mates again for what he did yesterday. After apologizing loads of times, they finally forgive him. A few hours later, when Steve gets home, he can't find Leo or his nan anywhere. Meanwhile, before the championship final match, Samson and his agent go to Leo's changing room. There, the agent starts saying to Leo, "We know who you really are." The agent distracts Leo's nan and Leo, and meanwhile, Samson sneaks up and replaces Leo's magical mask with a fake one. Then, the two of them scarper, and a few minutes later, the two wrestlers have to go to the ring for their match. But Leo still doesn't know that the mask he's wearing isn't the magical mask. Superstar Sheamus is also there to watch the match. Meanwhile, Steve's watching the match on the telly, but he doesn't know that the kid is actually his son. As soon as the match starts, Samson starts beating Leo up. But the defensive moves that Leo's trying don't have any effect on Samson, which is really worrying Leo. Leo tries to lift Samson up again, but Samson just throws him off like a rag doll, then shows Leo his real mask. Then, Leo immediately figures out Samson's plan. He whips off his fake mask, revealing his true identity to everyone. Seeing this, Steve and everyone else are well surprised. And then Samson tries to put on the mask, but he can't get it on over his big head. So the mask flies up to the top of the cage. Then, Leo drops his fake mask and starts talking to Samson. But Samson's not in the mood for talking. He starts attacking Leo again. The referee tries to stop Samson, but he's no match for Samson's strength, 'cause Samson starts beating up the referee too. Then, he picks up Leo and throws him high into the air, so that Leo's mask is close to him. So Leo tries to grab the mask, and Samson tries to stop him. Seeing his son in danger, Steve arrives there. He reminds Leo of all the things they used to talk about when they would discuss each wrestler's weaknesses. Then, Steve reveals that Samson's real weakness is heights, meaning he's really scared of heights. Hearing this, Samson genuinely falls to the ground. But at that moment, Leo grabs the mask. But this time, he decides not to use the mask, and he throws the mask out of the ring. Then, Leo jumps down from the top and drops an elbow on Samson, meaning he wins the match on his own merit. So, finally, Leo uses the prize money to pay off his dad's debts, and then they all live happily ever after. And that brings us to the end of today's story. Let me know what you thought of the story in the comments. And yeah, that's me signing off for today. Goodbye.